So you're working on a project and you have a texture that you would like to add some grunge to. And one typical way is to go into a photo editing software, you add the grunge to the texture, and then use that texture instead of the plain texture. This is all good and easy, but the issue with it is that it is restricting because you're limited to only the result that you got. However, if you want to add that grunge or additional spice to your texture, if you must, in 3D, you actually get more options. So I'm about to demonstrate for you how you add a grunge to your texture and also why it is actually more effective and flexible to do that process in 3D rather than doing it in 2D. So I named the material for the cat. Now I need to connect all these maps, starting with the roughness. And then I want to make sure I select that roughness, make sure it is raw. And very important, I check alpha's luminance. Then we have here the metalness. So select the material of the cat again, and then drag and drop into the metalness. Same thing, I select the metalness, make sure it is alpha is luminance and raw. And I explained in previous videos why alpha is luminance is super important. Now I need to connect the diffuse. Select the material and then drag and drop into the color. In Maya by default, unfortunately, it doesn't show the textures, which is oftentimes confusing, especially for beginners. Why is my texture not showing? Am I doing something wrong? Technically, you just need to click 6 on the keyboard. Look at that gorgeous cat. I'm gonna scale up the hypershade so we can have full focus over what's gonna go on here, connecting it to the color. Here is the diffuse. I'm going to kill the connection here and push it aside and start with AI multiply. Multiply is actually what you will be using in Photoshop to blend the grunge texture into your original texture. So might as well just do it here and have the ability to take it off anytime you want or keep it. So connecting color into input 1. Now I need to connect a new node that carries that new texture. So to do so, tab and then file, texture. And that is going to be connected in here into input 2. So let us connect the texture into this file. And I'm gonna actually name it here. So with that said, this is the grunge that I want to add. I'm gonna go scroll up, click on the directory. Here's one. And now what I have left to do is to connect that AI multiply into the base color. What are the advantages of adding a grunge texture in the 3D software? First of all, you can at any time kill the switch and connect the diffuse right away to be the texture, meaning you have the option to turn it on and off. The other advantage is that you can go into this purple node, place 2D texture. Place 2D texture, and now I can minimize this window so we can focus more on the lovely cat. Place 2D texture is going to change and reorganize or readjust the way that texture gets distributed. So I can do some rotation. I can also do some scaling. So let's say you want it to be smaller than that. Let's say 5 times. See that? Let's say you want to make it 20 times. Good to exaggerate sometimes and also to test how seamless your texture is, right? This is not my texture, but it's really good for demonstration for now. You can also make it twice as big, which would not be a good idea. And while on the subject, since I've already tweaked those numbers, something I might have mentioned in previous videos, if you hold down Control and then with the left mouse button you scroll, and here is where you start to leverage the fact that you can get some stylized results. And this is where, again, the texture is not perfectly seamless. But look at that. Look at that. This is a new door that is unlocked for you to experiment with making some stylized results. You can also change the coverage, which will make some radical changes because it is adjusting how much coverage it's taking over. Like, is it maybe partially effective, right? So yeah, that is how you can add grunge texture additionally to your main diffuse texture, but also having a lot more control over what you could have had using a software like Photoshop or Affinity to make the blending modes in pre-production. I hope this helps.